David, as the CEO of Fine and Country, you have 300 licensees around the globe, 225 or so in the UK. What one or two things would you wish they did more of to get more benefit out of being members of Fine and Country?
Do you know, it's an easy thing to say, but it is basic things. And the one thing that I've really learned over the last few years is that more so than offices, more so than most other things, to have the right people focused on your Fine and Country business as well as your core brand business, have those, if you can, different people. That is a massive part of the success of a Fine and Country operation. And it's quite hard, and we were talking about this a second ago, but it's quite hard to switch gears, to wear two hats, to do two different jobs. And so he's easy to pick on, so I'll do it again. But in Simon's case, in Thomas Morris, he has his Thomas Morris business on the ground floor. He has his Fine and Country business on the first floor of his office. And the teams are separate. They intermingle, they intertwine, they have referrals between them of properties, but the people are focused on what they do. They get up in the morning, they think about Fine and Country. All day long, they're Fine and Country. They go to sleep thinking about Fine and Country, and they become experts in it. I was reading a book on the way here, and funnily enough, I saw it on LinkedIn as well. Someone referenced this as well today. It was Graham Locke. Is it Graham Locke?
Oh.
He'd made the same.
He was here last week.
Was he? And he'd put this on, and it's so right. It says that to become a master in anything, you need to do it for 10,000 hours. That's the amount of time you need to put in, and so that kind of says it all, really. You need to put in the amount of time to become the master at what you're doing, not just in a estate agency, but in your focused marketplace, because it is a niche marketplace. We're talking about 25% of the market, the top 25%. You need to put in that amount of time to become the master at it. And it's very hard to do that. It's possible, but it's very hard to do that when you're switching gears.
Yes.
I find that's really come to the fore in the last few years or so, more so than most other factors. For me, that's the number one thing.
What? Anything else?
I think the consistency and the standards of what you're doing in the most general terms. So this is just a personal opinion, but I think that consistency is probably the most important part of a...
You're talking to the Fine and Country licensees here, because let's be honest, you must see some flyers and you must see some other people that have just bought it for a badge and don't do anything with it.
It's very rare that people buy it for a badge, because when we're talking about it, we make it clear that it's not... Fine and Country doesn't do it by itself. It's a suite of tools, and if you can use the tools in the right way, then you'll do phenomenally well with it. But it's a bit like having a Porsche sat in the garage. You have to get in it, put fuel in it, and drive it, and then it'll be the best thing you've ever owned.
Yes.
Until you do, it doesn't do anything.
True.
But coming back to that point about consistency, I know it's a basic thing, and it's Fine and Country, it's not Fine and Country as well, but in doing something consistently, I think for the consumer, it gives the clear impression of professionalism, that you have systems and processes in which you can do things on a consistent basis. So we were talking this morning about the amount of content that you're putting out. As every single day there's something that's going out consistently. You're staying in the forefront of people's minds, providing them with content, you're giving them information on a regular daily basis, and that gives the impact of professionalism, which probably in turn means you're more likely to have a invitation.
Anything else that you just wish they would do more of or less of?
The Fine and Country agents in general, or the market?
To get the benefit of spending. I mean, how much does it cost a month?
So our licenses range in terms of their size, the geographical area, the value of the license as well. The smaller areas are about £750 per month. The largest areas that we'd look to work with someone on would probably be about £2,500 to £3,000 a month, which when you take in the context of an average fee, so we see the average fees going through Fine and Country are over £10,000, because we see through the referral system I mentioned earlier, make a pretty good value for money, we would hope, or we would think. In terms of what I'd want them or anyone else to do is just to use what they have.
What about these referrals? Do you see some are really good at it and some are atrocious at it?
Yes, and the ironic thing is the ones that give the most referrals are the ones that receive the most.
Really?
Which shouldn't make any sense, because not necessarily people moving to that area. And the most I can think of why that happens is because people are seeing that. So our Bury St Edmunds office are fantastic at making referrals, and they are one of the ones who receive the most referrals, probably because people see those referrals come into their inbox, and so they're thinking about Bury St Edmunds.
Shouldn't make a difference.
It shouldn't, but it happens consistently.
What about the licensees that use the marketing materials and everything? You know, you said before it's like an a la carte menu. You can choose and pick and choose what you want. Is there a direct relationship to the? I mean, I'm assuming the more you use, the more you have to pay.
It depends. There are some tools, especially the printed tools, which cost money because somewhere a tree has to be chopped down in order to provide that and so on. But there's so much of what we do is absolutely free. So, for example, in Park Lane we have a PR and media team, and last year alone, this is unbelievable, they got £7.4 million worth of free advertising for the Fine & Country network in editorial content in national and major regional publications. Completely free. And if you're a Fine & Country licensee with any property, so we send out alerts of what the journalists are looking for, or if they take on a property, or even go and visit a property which is particularly interesting or has a history or owner or anything at all, they can call the PR media team and say, what do you think about this? The PR media team can call the vendor sometimes. They write the article, send it to the journalist, and because of the relationships, we gain a lot of editorial. And absolutely for free. It's just one tiny slither of what we do.
Is there any other aspect that you feel people would use more of you?
Again, are we talking about the just our licensees? I'm getting a catch-all one here. So we have twice a month. We have free training days we put on in the Park Lane office, which you call Academy Days, completely free of charge. Full day's worth of training on everything Fine & Country, from the tools to the mindset. I just say to attend those because you get everything that you need to know in a day for free. See the office and get to know the teams there as well, which is a nice thing.
Nice for the team sending, you know, if Betsy in the Swindon office, be nice for her to have a day out in London, won't it?
It is, and it's nice to see the office, and it's the training that she receives from that and the confidence in what she's doing, and it helps. If you're the licensee taking on the staff, then it helps as part of their induction process that they go to Park Lane and they have an academy day there. But then that tells them and teaches them so much of what they have at their fingertips.
Okay, but what about if I'm in Scotland or north of England? I can't be sending my staff down to London. I have to pay for an overnight hotel.
I know, and it gets a bit much. And although we'd always prefer that because they get to see the office, what we do is we take the academy on the road. So we have different ones in different locations around the country because, yeah, to send 5 members of staff down to London on the train is God knows how much. So, yeah, completely agree. And there's a funny thing, really, just coming back to the staff, you just made me think of something, is that just to bear with me for a second, is that with Fine & Country operators, they find that it is easier to recruit staff into because it is, at least in the industry, and we know with our own customers, a recognised brand, that people want to work typically in the top end of the marketplace. So it's easier to recruit better people into that than your core markets quite often. And that has a lifestyle. So we talk about lifestyle marketing for the end customers, for the sellers of the property. Actually, quite often, the lifestyle element of a Fine & Country business is quite attractive if you are a business owner. You have fewer transactions to worry about. They're worth more. The people are often interesting. The houses are beautiful. It is someone once said to me, it's worth getting out of bed for in the morning. And I thought that was quite an interesting way of putting it.
And also, it could also help you indirectly attract staff to your core brand as well.
Oh, the effect of it is more so than just your core brand and your Fine & Country brand. Sometimes there's not a core brand, but most of the time there is. It's more than just the two in isolation because the two, as you can imagine, pass buyers, sellers to one another. The person selling a Fine & Country property has a high chance of being a landlord in the local area as well. And so by opening up that conversation with them at that point, creates opportunities in turn for the core brand.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.